All right, we're going to get started over here in about 10 minutes for our MayDay union education event. So if you're here, you'd like to learn about unions, how to form one, the long struggles that the labor movement has had here in Alabama and nationally, come on over and join us. Like I said, we'll be starting in about 10 minutes, so grab yourself a drink, come on over, and we'll be teaching everybody and trying to spread the good word. All right, thank you. All right. Is this a good volume for everybody? A little low? All right, let's turn it up. How's that? All right, test. I already know. All right, how's that sound?
Great.
All right, guys, gather around. We're going to get started on our union education event. Our first speaker, his name is Jacob Morrison. He is the president of the Northern Alabama Area Labor Council, and I'll let him give himself a longer introduction. He's going to go over Union 101.
Appreciate Jeff for putting together this event. He's been doing a lot of work with 5051. Really appreciate it. Jeff's great. Like he said, my name is Jacob Morrison. I'm president of the North Alabama Area Labor Council. That is the regional federation of unions. I'm a union member myself. I'm a member of the American Federation of Government Employees. We represent several thousand federal workers on Redstone Arsenal. Been a member of that union for the better part of a decade. Been a steward for the union, representing folks in grievance procedures and stuff like that. And, it's a pretty casual event. And so I'll talk just a little bit about actually why I think that unions are important, and then I'll kind of give you a little bit of basic what a union is. Or actually, I'm going to reverse that. I'm going to give you the what a union is, and then we'll talk about why I think it's important. People are really, I have found, if you ask a lot of folks what a union is, they're not going to have a super great understanding. They're not going to have a great idea of what it is, and I think it's really important. And so the definition that actually the U.S. Department of Labor uses, and that I think is accurate, is a labor union is a group of two or more workers who are coming together to make their workplace better. It's really as simple as that. And there are other things that you can do to make yourself more official. You can have union elections, you can get recognized by your employer, you can have a union contract, and all of that kind of stuff. But that's not what makes you a union. What makes you a union is when you come together with your coworkers and decide that you're a union. And that's the definition that is really, really important, because people were coming together and forming unions before it was legal to do so. And in fact, in contexts where it was illegal to do so, people were murdered for having a union card in their back pocket. People were arrested for having a union card in their back pocket. And so not only is that the correct definition, but I've always felt like it's disrespectful when we don't recognize that that's what unions are. It's disrespectful to the folks who came before us and who did actually sacrifice their lives, sacrifice their freedoms, and fight to be able to fight to build a labor movement and to build a union in their workplace. Like I said, there are ways to make yourself more official. The National Labor Relations Board, if you are in the private sector, you can come together with your fellow workers, sign a petition to try to hold a union election, and then the National Labor Relations Board will preside over that election. If 50% plus one of your fellow workers vote yes, then you will be unionized, and under federal law, your employer will be forced or will be made to bargain with you in good faith by the government. I think that's really important. But fundamentally, it's just about workers coming together to make their workplace better. And what that has been able to do over the last 100 years has been really effective. And in fact, even as workers and the labor movement and unions are less powerful now than they were, say, in the 50s and the 60s, union members still make something like 20% more than their non-union counterparts. If everybody here got a 20% raise, I think that we would all be very, very happy. Union members also significantly more likely to have health care. Union members significantly more likely to have a retirement plan at all. Union members are some of the only people left in the country with a pension plan. And in fact, union meatpacking workers at JBS across the country, from Iowa to Texas to South Carolina, recently won the first ever national meatpacking union contract that created, for the first time since 1987, a new pension plan. I mean, that is incredible. In 2025, meatpacking workers, not only did they raise the minimum wage at JBS to $25 an hour, they also created and established a new pension plan that these workers' defined benefit are going to be able to rely on and be able to have a dignified retirement. I mean, that is really, really incredible. And the way that that works is that when you come together with your coworkers, you balance out the power differentials between you and your employer. If you go into your boss's office and try to negotiate yourself a raise, I'm not discounting anybody's individual talents here. I'm sure we're all very smart and very special and very good at our jobs, right? But ultimately, any one of us could be fired, and the company that we work for would go on. They would still be able, if we as an individual were fired, our employers would still be able to do the job the next day, the next week. If something happened to us, God forbid, the company wouldn't even stop. They wouldn't even take a day off in most instances, right? And so when the power differentials are like that, when we have as individuals so little power, that obviously gives the employer a lot more negotiating power, and it makes it easier for the employer to say, no, I actually don't think you deserve a raise. You've dedicated 20 years of your life to this company. I think that you're going to keep the same rate of pay that you have now. And I actually think that I'm going to increase your healthcare premiums. I actually think that I'm going to increase the employee contributions to the retirement system. That's the kind of thing that can happen when you negotiate for yourself. But if you negotiate collectively, what the implicit threat there is that if you don't give us what we want, and sometimes it's made explicit, if you don't give us what we want, then you're not going to get all of our labor. And there is not any employer here that any of us work for that could continue going on if tomorrow all of the workers decided to say, we're not coming in on Tuesday. We're not coming in until you give us what we're asking for at the bargaining table. And that is really fundamentally what gives unions our power. It is our ability to withhold our labor, and that is really, really important. And what that does is it gives workers the ability to sit across the table from management as equals. I was talking to somebody on my radio program this morning, never been in a union before, and she just finished negotiating her first ever union contract, the first ever union contract in the video game quality assurance field. So this is really, really cool. Folks that work at ZeniMax Studios, the people who did quality assurance for Elder Scrolls. I don't know how many people have played Elder Scrolls here. But the folks, they formed a union a couple of years ago, and after 2 years of negotiating, they've been able to get a tentative agreement that contains across-the-board raises, new minimum wages, and a grievance procedure. They can't be fired unilaterally. The boss has to justify discipline to the union. I mean, that is a really incredible thing. And speaking of, she's a video game quality assurance worker. You know, people think about unions as big, burly white men in hard hats. And I know that I fit that stereotype exactly, but not all other union people do. I mean, there are a lot of other union folks. Not as there are a lot of other union folks out there, right? And I mean, the speakers today, I was obviously kidding. I'm a white collar federal government employee. Whitney Washington is a white collar nonprofit employee. Adam Keller is a blue collar stagehand union. And folks in all industries can be unionized. I'm looking at somebody now in the crowd who has been a part of the American Federation of Musicians here at the Huntsville Symphony Orchestra, where the people are unionized. And so unions are for everybody. If you work for a wage, if you have a boss, then you need a union. And you deserve a union. Not only do you need a union, you deserve a union. That's what every worker deserves. And so, you know, there are lots of unions, even here in North Alabama. I mean, I just talked about the Huntsville Symphony Orchestra, unionized with the American Federation of Musicians, federal employees out on the Arsenal. We are, as I speak, right across the hall from the right across the road from the Union Hall of the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, who do something like 15% of all electrical work here in North Alabama. And they're really great at what they do. The plumbers and pipe fitters over in Madison, the Teamsters at UPS, I mean, any kind of job that you can think of. I mean, the teachers, National Education Association here in Huntsville. Unions are for everybody. And we, CWA, Communication Workers of America, out at AT&T and DirecTV, and most of those unions are affiliated with our labor council, the North Alabama Area Labor Council. We're the regional body of the AFL-CIO. And even just here in Huntsville, we represent everybody from grocery workers to rocket scientists. So if you have any questions about unions, I'll be around for the rest of the evening. I know people in all of these unions and I can get you connected. We do have the folks who represent engineers and rocket scientists out at NASA here, the IFPTE. Jared's the president. So if folks have any questions, if you know somebody that has talked about a union but doesn't know where to go, you can reach out to me. I'll give you my contact information. You can also go to northalabamalabor.org and our contact information is there. So really appreciate y'all giving me the time to talk to you. Appreciate Jeff for giving us the space, and hope I haven't been too rambly, but I appreciate y'all's time. So I'll give it back to Jeff. Thank y'all.
All right, let's give one more hand for Jacob Morrison. All right, so I want to take this time to really, I guess, plug our organizers and our the organizations that are here. So we have Indivisible, which is a national organization. They were stood up at the beginning of the first Trump administration, and they've been doing good work for the last half a decade and even longer. And so they stood up their chapter again here with the last election, and they're doing good work, doing smaller protests, and also working to hunt down Dale Straw.
I can't find him.
Yeah. And we have DSA, the Northern Alabama chapter of DSA. So DSA is the Democratic Socialists of America. They kind of run the gambit of activist work, everything from advocacy to direct action, and even work on some electoral stuff. So the DSA does quite a bit of work across the nation, and if you're interested in joining them, they actually are having their national what's it called? Convention. Thank you. Where they have it every 2 years, and they're going to be going over their new policies and stuff, up and coming stuff. And then I'll plug the Northern Alabama Area Labor Council. We wouldn't be here without them. They really are a union of unions. They are pushing for organized labor across northern Alabama. And if you listen to Jake's radio show, the Valley Labor Report, they go over every Saturday morning, they go over the wins and struggles of labor in this region. And I guess finally I'll do our 2 cents. I'm with 5051. That's 50501. That's 50 protests, 50 states, one movement. So we are a direct action organization focusing on protests and also working into community building and mutual aid. So I just want to thank all of the organizations that are here that are contributing to pushing for progress. And our next speaker is Whitney Washington. She is a member of the Northern Alabama Area Labor Council. She's going to talk about unionizing her workplace.
Okay. Thank you all. Sorry, I'm recovering from a sinus infection, so my voice is a little patchy. But yeah, as Jeffrey just said, I recently helped unionize my workplace. I work for an advocacy nonprofit based in Montgomery, and we are a very pro-labor organization. And we, unlike a lot of unionization stories you hear, we wanted to unionize because we liked our workplace and that we wanted to protect it. We wanted to keep the things that we liked and improve some things that we didn't like. And so we started this process the summer of 2023, I believe. Or I guess even a little bit before that, where it really just starts with having conversations with your coworkers, seeing how things are working out for each other, comparing how you get treated. Are people getting treated fairly? If someone asks for time off, are they given it, but another person asks for time off but isn't given it? And if you aren't treated fairly, then why? So it really just starts with having these conversations. And after a while of having these conversations with each other, we decided, a few of us came together and decided that we wanted to pursue joining a union. And once we did that, we reached out to different unions to see which one would want to represent us. And so we ended up going with Communications Workers of America, which represents one of their biggest companies that they represent is AT&T. And that's the thing with unions, is a lot of people are used to them representing certain industries, but actually a lot of unions now sort of represent any sort of company that comes to them. I had previously been a union member of IBEW, which is a union of electricians, while I was working on a presidential campaign. So, thank you. So even if, it might seem like, why would I join an electricians union or a communications workers union? They can still represent you. Their job is to protect workers. It doesn't necessarily matter what industry it's in. So we were, like I said, we have a very pro-labor organization, and so it was pretty easy to get people involved and to want to join the union. Even with that, people had a lot of questions. In the South especially, we've all heard a lot of anti-union bias over the years, that unions only protect lazy workers, or that once you get a union involved, you're not going to get a lot of privileges or benefits. and we had to work to counteract these myths and really like describe to people how it would work at our job. Because ultimately the union is what you make it. The workers are the union. So if you, if you don't want something in your contract, you just don't vote for that contract. So you have a lot of power. And I think a lot of us are really separated from our power at work, especially if we work a lot, like white collar desk jobs. And joining the union helped me and my coworkers like reconnect to that power of this is us doing it. We drive the work. We make these things happen. And I think that unions are incredibly powerful in that way for just reminding you what you can do. He agrees with me. So we had a 100% sign-on rate when starting our union, which is very rare. We also got something that is very rare, which is voluntary recognition by our employer, meaning our employer did not force us to do what's called a card count, which is those votes that you see on the news where everyone has to like put in a private ballot. Our employer didn't force us to do that. They just voluntarily recognized the union right then and there.
Nice. Yeah.
And that is something that the state of Alabama has recently tried to push back on. They passed a bill last year that would take away tax incentives from companies that did voluntary recognition. So, we're constantly facing pushback at the legislature. But yeah, we then went into the bargaining process, which is where we created our first contract. I was on the bargaining team with my colleague Adam, and we spent about a year working on our contract, going back and forth with management, trying to find the best policies for our team and getting feedback from the rest of our coworkers. And some of the things that we were successfully able to do was to increase our base PTO up by a week. We established a paid parental policy of 20 weeks, and we secured raises and bonuses for the staff. And in a first for CWA Southeastern District, we had a 100% yes vote on that contract. And again, this is all just a regular people doing this. We are just workers. Anyone can start this process and be a part of a movement like this. You just have to start by having a conversation with your coworker. So yeah, if you have any questions about starting a union, being a union member, feel free to ask me, and I will be around. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
A little higher.
There we go. All right. Thank you, Whitney. All right. Our next speaker is also with the Northern Alabama Area Labor Council. His name is Adam Keller, and he's going to go over the struggles and the wins of the labor movement here in Alabama, and as well as a little bit of the history of MayDay. So give him a round of applause. Bring it back down again.
Good afternoon, y'all.
Good afternoon.
I appreciate y'all being here. Appreciate the opportunity to spread the good word of labor solidarity, any opportunity we have. So my name is Adam Keller. I am a member of 2 labor unions. I am proud to be a representative of the North Alabama Area Labor Council. I represent the local stagehands union, IATSE, Local 900. That is the International Alliance of Theatrical Stage Employees. So We do all the behind the scenes production work at the Von Braun Center and the Orion, all the cool concerts, musicals that come through town. It's union labor who puts that together. So happy to work with those brothers and sisters and happy to represent them at the Labor Council with Jacob and Whitney and other comrades. I also am a member of CWA, Communication Workers of America, Local 3908. As mentioned, I was with Whitney on that organizing campaign, and so I'm really proud to be a representative of multiple aspects of our labor movement. I got my start in education. I was a high school history teacher and started organizing the same year that the Chicago Teachers Union went on their historic strike for the schools Chicago students deserved. So that lit a spark in me to recognize the connection between workplace organizing, community organizing, and political change, right? I'd had all these feelings and thoughts and opinions about politics, but I wasn't quite sure what to do with all that. And it was through organizing with my coworkers that I really started to feel the power that working people have when we come together. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the real Labor Day, which is May Day, May 1st. We were supposed to be here on that day, so I wanted to give y'all a little bit of the history there on May Day. And it started May 1st, 1886. On that day, more than 340,000 workers took part in action, and that was to secure the 8-hour day. 2 days later, activists organized a union action at the McCormick Harvesting Machine Company, and this is up in Chicago. And scabs had replaced the locked out workers that were on strike. Police arrived to intimidate the strikers, beating them with billy clubs, and as the protesters exited, police ran at them and fired into the retreating crowd, killing at least 6 and injuring many more. In the coming days, tensions escalated between the police and workers. That following day, on May 4th, labor leaders organized a rally in Haymarket Square. Of course, the event was meant to be a non-violent protest of police brutality, but unfortunately, there was violence, and there was deaths at the hands of police. Several civilians were killed, dozens more injured, and news of the tragedy sent shockwaves throughout the labor movement worldwide. And ultimately, May 1st became International Workers' Day. And so in many countries across the world, workers celebrate their Labor Day on May 1st. The United States government did not want to see that kind of connection to the global labor movement and the radical traditions underpinning it, so they designated a day in September. So now we have a September Labor Day in the United States, but I say workers deserve at least 2 Labor Days, right? So we should claim them both. So May is officially Labor History Month, and you know, this may be a hot take, but I think history is pretty important. And I wanted to just celebrate a little bit of our heritage here in Alabama. Now, ordinarily, when guys who look like me and sound like me talk about Southern heritage, they probably go a different direction than what I'm about to go. But Alabama has a rich struggle history in this state, right? A history of struggle, a rich history of interracial organizing. We had the Knights of Labor and the populist movement around the turn of the century. We should have won the governor's mansion. Knights of Labor founded its own town in the Birmingham area called Powderly, right? We had a ton of organizing that had electoral success, workplace organizing success, community organizing, building cooperatives. We had the United Mine Workers of America, UMWA, which built a powerhouse of unionism in the coal mines. They were organizing white and black coal miners together at the height of Jim Crow. They built power together such that Walker County, Alabama, at one time was the most unionized county in the country. At one time, 1 in 4 Alabamians belonged to labor unions, right? So when our governor or other folks like to portray unions as outside interest, I'm not really sure what they're talking about, because as far as I can tell, unions are as Alabama as football, sweet tea, and biscuits. So we've had struggles in the public sector. I know there's some educators who are probably out there in the crowd, and I wanted to say that we've had education strikes in the history of this state. Walker County, I just mentioned, had its own teacher strike in 1979. Not too far from here, a couple years later, we had a strike in Scottsboro City Schools. And I find that interesting because Scottsboro is also home to the second unionized Starbucks in the state. That's right, and we now have a third in the state, right down the road here in Huntsville. In Scottsboro, the Starbucks organizing drive had people on the organizing committee as young as 16 years old. That is the kind of power we have when we come together and unite around our common interest. Alabama is also home to the civil rights movement. So yes, we have a long, ugly history of racial capitalism in this state, but we also have a long, proud tradition of fighting back. People of all kinds. Labor has always been at the fight for civil rights and human rights. We know that the United Auto Workers helped pull off the March on Washington for jobs and freedom. Dr. Martin Luther King was assassinated in Memphis supporting striking sanitation workers in 1968. We have a long history of working across race, gender, religion, geography, and realizing our common interests and common power as working class people. So in the big picture, zooming forward to today, we've had about 5 decades of disaster for working people. We have been falling further and further behind as the wealthy have grown wealthier and wealthier. You can look at the charts and you can see as union membership has declined over the past 5 decades, wealth has skyrocketed to the top 1%. There's a direct connection because when less workers have the power of unions, we have less power to capture the wealth and revenue that we generate, the profits that we generate as working people. So we've had this era of neoliberalism, of decline for working class people, where wages have been stagnant, pensions have disappeared, jobs have been outsourced, everything has gotten more expensive. And in the South, we face particular conditions, right? Because the South has its own model of cheap labor, hostility to unions, pro-business lawmakers, climates that are hostile to working people, right? Disinvestment in public services while offering generous tax incentives for corporations. So the companies come down here to exploit us. They exploit our resources and our labor. They know they can come down here and get the Alabama discount, right? They can get cheaper labor without unions, they hope, with friendly lawmakers who won't regulate them, who won't police them, and they may even give them the tax money to come here and do this. But there is an alternative, and that is through people power. That is how we can turn the tide. And if you look at throughout history, the history of this country, the history of this state, especially from the 1930s through the 1960s, we had waves of people power. Really diverse groups of working people coming together for collective action, right? It's how we won the New Deal. It's how we won civil rights. It's how we ended a war in Vietnam, right? People power. And it's going to take diverse mass organizing of working people, everyday workers stepping up to find how they can participate, because everybody can do something. Everyone can do something. We can all pitch in. We can all put our hands on it, right? We could all push forward in the same direction. So people power is the force through which we can force positive change. It's the only thing that's ever worked. and it's the only thing that's going to work. No one's coming to save us. Only we as regular working people can do that. But when we do it together, it's possible. That is the power of unions. That's always been the power of unions. No matter what the government says, no matter what laws say, unions are when workers come together and we fight for better, and we deserve better. So I want to thank all of you for being here, and I want to encourage all of you to find how you can participate in building a working class movement that can really transform this state and win the better Alabama we deserve.
Thank you very much, Adam. I think you hit on quite a few points that a lot of the people in the crowd here are very passionate about. Building a mass movement, about the power of people, about the power of collective action, and that no one is coming to save us. The politicians, Democrat or Republican, they're not coming to save us. We, the people, must save ourselves. And to continue on that dialogue, our next speaker will be speaking on the working class struggle and on the billionaire class. His name is Austin Jones. He is the co-chair of North Alabama Democratic Socialists of America, and he is an Army veteran.
Hey y'all. All right. It's good to see everybody. Very good. Like I said, I'm Austin. I'm a member of the Democratic Socialists of America for the last 5 years. I'm a 21-year Army veteran. Did multiple deployments to Afghanistan and Iraq. I'm a father and a partner. And everything I know about socialism, I learned in the Army and from the Constitution. And in this darkness, we find ourselves, a darkness designed by oligarchs and billionaires of the world. It is time to start a fire. A fire made with the kindling of plans and the logs of our labor. Contrary to popular opinion, the American Revolution started in New York City in 1712 with enslaved folks uprising against slavers there. 1776 was merely an extension of that. And now it is time for us to continue the American Revolution. A revolution not just here in the homeland, but for all lands and people. It is our duty to fight for a better world, a world for all working folks. It is our duty to win. And let me tell you, when the working class fights, we win. Every single time. We win, and every single person deserves decency in this world, and it is us who must deliver it. We, the people, must break our chains, and all chains that the rich have wrapped around the world. The system they have made is not fit for an animal, much less a free person. Now, what are these plans we must draw up in the dark to light the way to freedom? The first thing we must design is a network of mutual aid that serves as the backbone, the support, and skeleton for the body freedom. And for the organs of this body, we fill in the skeleton with unions and worker cooperatives, for it is our labor that drives the world. Next, we make the muscle of the body freedom with direct action that jabs with protests and rallies and escalates to crosses, uppercuts, and kicks. And finally, the brain is where we find us taking and exercising our electoral power. We make and demand policies for the working class, for the body freedom in all things domestic and foreign. Mutual aid, unions and co-ops, direct action, and electoralism is what builds the body freedom. Now, Rome wasn't built in a day, and neither has freedom. We have fought for freedom since the first workers' strike at the Great Pyramids in Egypt 12,000 years ago. We have fought on every continent, in every country, we, the working class. And we have made progress in this world not because of capitalism or rich folks, but in spite of it. It is the worker who had the good idea. It is the worker that designed it. It is the worker who made it. And it was all funded by the working class taxpayer. Because you know them rich folks don't pay taxes. The internet was created with our money. These phones you all have, all the research to make them was funded by working class taxpayers. We must exercise our collective economic power. We must perform economic blackouts every Sunday. We must encourage our friends, families, and co-workers to do the same. Targeted boycotts work. Look at Target. They've lost 40% of their foot traffic and have come begging the black community and their allies to come and shop. We must get ready to strike. That is our superpower. And all the things I outlined above is how we get ready for that. Spread these thoughts and concepts. For it is the working class that defeated a king and the greatest empire in the world. It is the working class that fought and won against slavers. It is the working class that gained the vote for women. It is the working class that won the vote for indigenous folks, black folks, and all folks of every color and combination of humanity. Because when the working class unites and fights, we win every single time. Now I'm calling on you in this new American Revolution, the struggle of not just for 4 years, but all years. Because when we get rid of this one in office, our work is just beginning. Because the fight for what is right and good in this world is never ending. And it is our duty to fight, and it is our duty to win, so that we live not in darkness, not in chains, but in light as the body freedom. Now one little last thing before I go. We got a podcast called Cornbread and Roses, and it's a platform for the voices of working class activists and organizers, and all y'all here are invited to come on and talk whatever's on your heart and whatever work you're doing. Now I want y'all to say this with me. Solidarity. Solidarity. Forever. Forever. All the power. All the power. To all the people. To all the people. We the people. We the people. Break our chains together. Break our chains together. Thank y'all.
Hell yeah, Austin. I hope that Austin's message, the body of freedom, and all the education that we got here on unions today helps you all to feel empowered. If you are not involved with building the body of freedom, this is your call to action. Join the movement. Find a local organization that does the kind of work that you want to be doing. Do you care about Medicaid? Do you care about police brutality? Do you care about censorship in libraries? All of these things that you care about, there is a group already working on them. So please do some research, look out and reach out into your community. The people here are a great resource to point you towards the fight that you care about. And again, I just want to thank everybody here. I want to thank everybody here for being with us, for putting on this event. I want to thank the Northern Alabama Area Labor Council for being the spotlight of this event and for pushing the good fight in Northern Alabama for organized labor. I want to thank Indivisible for really standing up and being a pantry for the community, for lending material resources for events just like this, and for bringing the good fight and the small actions after our representatives to keep them accountable. I want to thank Northern Alabama Democratic Socialists of America. They are pushing on all fronts to build class consciousness in Northern Alabama, and I just want to say that there are 2 brand new chapters that are forming in Alabama. 3? Okay, well, I know there's one in Florence, there's one in Mobile, and Montgomery. There we go. Hell yeah, so solidarity is growing on that front as well. And I want to thank the organization and my co-organizers with 5051. Again, we're building for these direct actions. We're building for mutual aid and education across the nation, and trying to build close partnerships with the community we are in, and to span that across the entire nation. So again, I want to thank everybody here. If you aren't already involved, please get involved. Solidarity forever.